Hi guys, this is Ari Sauer, the Immigration Answer Man, coming to you live on August 28th, 2017. I'm here with Olga Zavala, who is a paralegal with our firm, with the Siskind law firm, and we're hoping to have a discussion with you guys. We want this to be interactive, so please let us know if you're watching, let us know if you have any questions. We want to talk about the DACA program, which is Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and we want to let people know what the DACA program is, what it isn't, why people should support the program, and to talk about a threat, or more than one threat, that this program is facing right now, and what you can do to help keep the program in place. Okay, so as far as what DACA is, it's Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. So deferred action, think of it just like when the police pull you over for speeding, okay? And the officer has a chance to either give you a ticket, or the officer can decide not to give you a ticket. Use their judgment, okay? So the government has the judgment as to what to do in immigration cases, okay? And in this situation, the government has said that they are going to use their deferred action for certain people that came here as children and who are not threats to our safety, don't meet certain criminal history, and are people who graduated high school or in school, the kind of people that we want here contributing to America. So the government has said that these are the type of people that we are going to use our deferred action to help. And part of that is so that they can then focus limited resources on those that do have criminal history, those that are multiple violators, those that are high priorities. Because no matter what, we still have limited resources when it comes to that. I see that a few people have joined us. Please, join, say your name, let us know you're there, make comments. We want this to be interactive where possible. Again, this is Ari Sauer, the Immigration Answer Man.
And Olga Zavala.
And if you have questions in Spanish, you can ask them in Spanish. I won't be able to read them, but Olga will.
Y si él contesta en inglés, yo se las puedo traducir. Si tienen cualquier pregunta, pueden preguntar en inglés y yo voy a traducir.
All right, but we're going to do most of this in English because I don't speak Spanish. And a lot of you don't either. Okay, so the requirements for DACA is for people who are currently or were under the age of 31 in June 15th of 2012 when the so that's to keep a limit on who's eligible on this. Okay, they had to have come to the U.S. before their 16th birthday, so 15 or younger, and that's who we're talking about. We're talking about people who came here when they were little children. They had to have continuously resided in the U.S. since June 15th of 2007. They had to be physically in the U.S. on June 15th, 2012, and when they applied for DACA. They could not have been in lawful status June 15th, 2012. There are other options for people who were in lawful status. They had to be in high school or in college, had to have graduated from high school or obtained a GED, or be in certain educational programs towards obtaining a GED, or honorably discharged from the U.S. Armed Forces. They cannot have been convicted of a felony or a significant misdemeanor. So, for example, a DUI is considered a significant misdemeanor, or have 3 or more other types of misdemeanors that aren't significant misdemeanors, or pose a threat to national security or public safety. Okay, and they have to be at least 15 years old now when they're applying, although there's an exception for those who are in removal proceedings or have or have a removal order already against them. So Olga, tell us about your experiences with the DACA program.
Hey guys, as Adi said earlier, I am a DACA beneficiary. I came to America when I was 12 years old. I didn't speak any English. I still have an accent, but I'm working on it. Since DACA happened, it literally changed my life. I now have a driver's license. I purchased my first car since I have DACA. I now work here legally, so I contribute to society more than I was before, because before having DACA without a driver's license, I was afraid to drive in many places because I was afraid to get pulled over and maybe being deported. Since I have DACA, I have been able to do more for the community, because now I'm not afraid to go out in my car, have my insurance, drive, and go to the places where I volunteer many of the time for people that need my help to translate, or people that need my help either serving their food or anything that the community needs. I have done a lot of volunteer work. So DACA has changed my life from worried to being more free to do everyday life situation where, for example, I don't have to think about what if they take my driver's license away. You know, before that I would have to think about that, but Adi, since he's from here, he didn't have to worry about it. So DACA has given me that peace of mind, that knowing that if I do everything the right way and legally, and I will be okay. So that's what DACA has given me, a peace of mind.
Now I want you to think about that for a moment. Someone who, America has been her home for as long as you can remember.
My memories are in America.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old. I came to meet
okay.
the love of my life here in America. So I got married here.
Right, and so you have someone married to a U.S. citizen. America's been her home for as long as she can remember. She's as American as the rest of us. And to have a situation where you have to be afraid that if this DACA program ends, she's not going to have a license. That's something we really take it for granted. But just being able to get a driver's license is a major thing. She won't be able to work in the U.S. And let me tell you, she's an excellent paralegal. She helps people every day. She's great at her job. She definitely contributes to the U.S. And so we're talking about people that we want here. Okay.
And we're also talking about people that you may not know that have DACA. For example, the places that I go, they just think, oh, your English is perfect. You spend your whole life here. You must be American. And I'm like, no, I was not born here. Like, I was born in another country, but because I came here undocumented, I don't have the same rights everybody else does. So they are like shocked to hear that people that are good people like me contribute to society, have a job, that I came here undocumented and now I have DACA, and they wonder why I'm like so worried and why I look down lately. And I tell them, hey, DACA is under attack. Like, you may not think about it, but I have to think about this every single night when I go to bed. What is going to be the news on DACA the next day?
Right, and that leads us to talking about what we mean when we say that DACA is under attack. There's kind of two ways that we're looking at it right now. So when the president ran for in his election, one of the things he said he was going to do was end the DACA program. Now, thankfully, so far he has not done that. I think when he took office and saw what the DACA program does, and saw that, again, that one of the things that it does is it allows immigration to focus on the people that are actually priorities, not people who are contributing to society and have been here since at least since they were 15. Okay. In order to be eligible, you had to have been in the U.S. since a kid, since you were at least 15. Sometimes, some of them, people are eligible or have been here since they were,
I know some people that were like years old.
Yeah.
Months old.
So he has not so far done that. So just to go through the history, there's a bit of a history. So the DACA program was announced June 15th, 2012. And so we've just started celebrating the 5th anniversary of the DACA program. And again, that's important to understand. This is a program that's been around for 5 years. You have people who have benefited from this program, been out of the shadows for 5 years, gone to school, contributed, paying taxes.
Another thing that you might want to tell them is that once you have DACA, you can still lose DACA.
Yes.
So, I mean, we know that we can still lose DACA, so it's like...
Right, so say for example, if you commit a crime and you get what's considered a substantial misdemeanor, or you get a felony, you will lose that DACA benefit. So we're talking about, again, people who not only are contributing good members of society, but by the fact that they continue to have DACA means that they have continued to be contributing good members of society. So November 2014, President Obama announced an expansion to the DACA program. I won't go into what the expansions were, but also created the DAPA program, DAPA program, which is Deferred Action for Parental Accountability, which is a program that's similar to DACA, or was supposed to be a program that's similar to DACA, but for parents of certain children, in the U.S. And so that was announced in November of 2014. In December of 2014, the state of Texas and several other states filed a lawsuit to stop this program from going into effect. And they filed a lawsuit with the District Court for the Southern District of Texas. And they requested that the judge issue an injunction to stop the program from going into effect. And the judge did issue this injunction. Now, it's important to understand that when they filed this lawsuit against the DAPA program and against the expansion of the DACA program, but they didn't call into question in the lawsuit the original DACA program. So when this injunction went into effect, it stopped the DAPA program, DAPA, from going into effect, and it stopped the expansion of the DACA program, DACA, but it didn't affect the DACA program itself. And this case, the injunction was appealed. It went all the way up to the Supreme Court. At that point, there was still a justice missing from the Supreme Court. There were only 8 justices as opposed to the normal 9. And there was a split, 4-on-4 split, on the decision of whether the injunction was legally valid. And so because there was a split, the injunction stayed. And so recently, hey Debbie, by the way, we're going live here for those that are watching it recorded. So we will be taking comments from those that are watching. And even if you're watching it recorded, feel free to post your comments. We'll try and address them as well. But thank you for those that are commenting. So the injunction went into effect. The DAPA program never happened. The expansion of DACA never happened. But the DACA program has been continuing for the last 5 years. On June 16th of this year, the administration announced that they were formally withdrawing the DAPA program and the memo that created the DAPA program and the expansion of the DACA program. That was just a formality that they were withdrawing it. And they chose not to touch the DACA program, although they did say that they reserve the right to keep it under review. So it's important to see that they didn't touch the DACA program. But the case that had the injunction for the DAPA program is still an open case. The case was never resolved. All there was an initial injunction, but the actual determination as to whether or not the DAPA program, DACA expansion, were legally valid was never determined. And so the state of Texas and 9 other states on June 29th sent a letter to the Attorney General, General Sessions, saying that they wanted the president to withdraw the DACA program, or actually what they said, they wanted him to phase out the DACA program, and that if he didn't, that they were then going to amend the case that's still pending to add DACA to it. And the problem is that while the DACA program, it's been going on for much longer, it was created in a much different way than the DAPA program. It's a much stronger case if it can be fought in court. But the problem is that in order for it to be fought, the president and the current administration are the ones that would fight for that program to be able to stay in place. So if they amend the case and to include DACA, and if the president and the attorney general don't fight that, then the states that are suing will win by default, and the DACA program will be found to be not legal just by the factor of there's no one there to fight for it.
Well, technically, it just put me and millions of us people like me, DACA kids, putting us, hey, you're good, you have been a good citizen since you arrived to America. I'm gonna put you back in the shadow. You have been in the light, you have your driver's license, you have your social, you had fun during those 5 years. But guess what? I'm gonna put you back in the shadow. That's technically what DACA would do to me personally, and to a lot of DACA kids that I know. It's literally putting us here, and okay, DACA is gone, back in the shadow. So that's why this keeping DACA is really important for me and for hundreds and hundreds of DACA recipients who we are good to the community. Most of us do community service, a lot of us actually, because we are bilingual and we use the advantage of speaking two languages to help the rest of the community to better ourselves, to better our families, and to better the community, because the better we are, the better our family is, the better our community is.
Right. And so just so you understand that that's part of why we're doing this, to show you that this is not, there's lots of political debate about this. But in the end, it's not about politics. It's about lives. It's about these people who, they didn't have a choice to come here, okay? They weren't given that choice. We're not talking about, we're specifically not talking about criminals. We're talking about kids who came here. Now, they may be adults now. Some, but not all. Lots of them are still kids. But even those that are adults, again, America is, the U.S. is all they've known, all they remember. And, but they've gone to school here. And a lot of them did really well. Many of them went on to college, and many of them, started businesses and are your employees and your coworkers. And you may not know who again, we've said that. You don't know who has DACA and who doesn't. But if this DACA is challenged, okay, and if the president doesn't fight it, and if we can't find, it may be that we can find another state that's be willing to stand in and fight this, and based on the states claim that having the DACA program has benefited them, because the argument that gives the states standing to be able to challenge the DACA program is that they are saying that the DACA program has hurt them. Okay, Texas and these other 9 states. So it's possible that we may find another state that might be willing to stand in and fight this if the president doesn't. So it's important to know what you can do here. So and just to explain, we're looking at a September 5th deadline. So something is going to happen by September 5th because the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund has asked the judge from the case to terminate the case, to dismiss the case. Now that DAPA program and the expansion of DACA are no longer there. The president has withdrawn those, so there's nothing in the case currently for them to discuss. It's a moot case, and the judge has decided to stay the case until September 5th. So if nothing's done, that case may end September 5th. But we have to assume that those states, unless they are convinced otherwise, are going to continue with their threat if the president doesn't phase out the program. So what can you do about this? Well, first of all, it's important to get the word out. People need to know that the DACA program is under serious threat of ending. It's important that you contact your senators, you contact both your senators, contact your congressmen, get everybody you know to contact their senators and their congressmen, and let them know, A, that you want the program to continue, okay, and also that you want them to support the DREAM Act. There's a DREAM Act of 2017 which has been reintroduced. And right now, everything's kind of stalled. The Congress is on their break, and when I say break, they're still working. They're just not in Washington. They're back home. So between now and September 5th, when they start again, they're where you are. So find out where they are. Go visit them. Tell them that you want them to support DACA, support the DREAM Act. Let's help them to make this permanent so they don't ever have to worry about this threat again, because these are the kind of people we want here. They're good people.
We already consider ourselves part of America. When I arrived to America, I learned English fairly quickly because I was a little girl, and not having a social security didn't affect me till I was in 12th grade when it was time for me to apply for scholarships. So until that point, I didn't realize that I was, quote unquote, different than my American friends who I shared my classes and who I played sports, with whom we volunteered together to do things for the community. I did not know that until I had to apply for scholarships. So that is to tell you that all of us that are DACA recipient, we consider ourselves by heart Americans. So it's just a piece of paper that is not allowing us to say we are Americans. But other than that, we are consider ourselves Americans. And we will fight for this country if it came down to it. So that's my part of it.
Right, and give me a second. I'm trying to pull up the list of which states are.
Well, Tennessee is one of them.
Yeah, no, Tennessee.
So
where we are right now,
and it
is one of them.
Person listening that is here in Tennessee, you need to call our senators, our congressmen. You need to call them because
call your governor and the attorney general as well, and tell them that you want them to support DACA. You don't want them to join this suit or the expansion of the suit. Okay, sorry, I thought I had that list, but I will post that list after we finish the video. It's important that you call your senators, call your congressman, call the White House and tell them that you want them to support DACA. Call your states, because if you're living in one of those 10 states, then ask them to not go after DACA. If you're living in one of the other states, ask your states to support DACA, and because it may be that we need a state or more than one state to serve in place of the administration to defend this from the lawsuit. There's going to be events, protests, other things to get the word out. Join them.
Show your support.
Show your support. Go on to social media and let everybody know that you support the DACA program. Tell them why.
To support is to tell people what it is, because a lot of people are on the unknown of what DACA is and who benefits from DACA. So tell your friends about DACA. Just tell them, hey, Google what DACA is, and educate yourself, educate other people on what DACA is, and that's in a way to support the rest of us that are DACA recipients.
Okay. I see we had some more people join us, so please comment, let us know you're there. Let us know what questions you have, either about the DACA program or about the lawsuit, or about the what you can do to help. Or if you have questions for Olga about her experiences and experience of many others on the DACA program, please comment. This would be great if we can be an interactive session here. All right, we're going to add some links to this so that make it easy for you to contact everybody we've been talking about. Again, senators, congressmen, the White House, your governors, as well as we'll add some links to some organizations that are nonprofit organizations that are working to try and protect the DACA program. There are a lot of them, so if we don't add your link, don't be upset, but feel free to post in the comments. Post if you know an organization that's doing something about this. Please, if you know a parade, a protest that's coming up, let us know about it. Share with the group. Share this video with your friends. Get the word out as much as possible. And to others that are also doing videos like this, I know I've seen a lot of my fellow immigration lawyers doing videos like this. Thank you. And again, not just immigration lawyers, but everybody in the community. I just happen to be friends with a lot of immigration lawyers. Get the word out. Make your own video. All right.
And if you want to make your own video, if you're not a DACA recipient and you want to make your own video and say, hey, my name is, and I'm from certain state, for example, my name is Olga, I'm from Tennessee, and I support DACA. I stand by these kids that were younger than 15 years old and that are good citizens to our community. I support them and I'm with them, and that will help to educate other people, and also it shows support to us. And thank you so much for everybody that is supporting us. And I say us because I'm a DACA recipient. Yeah. So it's not somebody that you have never seen before. If you have never seen a DACA recipient, now you have. I'm a DACA recipient. So thank you so much for all the support that I know you guys are going to give us.
All right. So do we have any questions? I see we have had a few people join us. Any questions, comments? For those of you that may have an issue with the DACA program, we're happy to answer your questions as well. We're here to educate everybody. One of the things that I hear about the DACA program is that part of what people don't like about the DACA program is they think that it was something that was invented by President Obama. And while the specific DACA program was created during the Obama administration, the idea of deferred action is much older. Every president since, I know at least Nixon, has used deferred action, has had it as a tool for the administration to use. One of the most famous people in the beginning who had it was John Lennon. John Lennon had deferred action and was allowed to stay in the U.S. Despite the fact that he was removable, deportable, but he was granted deferred action that allowed him to stay and continue to do what he did in the U.S. So it's at least that old. This is not something that's new. It's a power that's been decades old. This is just a situation where the government has said, okay, this group of people, specific group of people, are the people we want to give deferred action for. We want them to be able to be in the U.S. Safe. We want to be able to focus our attention elsewhere. And so that's why this was created for them. If you are someone who is, thinks they might be eligible for DACA, or someone who's had DACA but let it expire, talk to an attorney, find out what your rights are. All right, we don't have any questions just yet. Vicky, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you watching this. All right, so again, support the DREAM Act. Call your congressmen and senators. I just want to briefly talk about, because what's going to happen if the program does end. How could it end? And what do people do at that point? So the first point is, how does it look like it might end if it ends? Sorry, we need to talk about this. You guys need to be prepared. So if it does, what the states are asking of the president is that he phase out the program. So it probably is not going to end like that. What probably will happen is that those who have it will be allowed to keep it. DACA is given out, granted in 2-year increments. So those that have it would be able to probably be able to keep it, but not be able to extend it. And there would not be new, those that are eligible would not be able to get it if they don't currently have it. Now again, this is just based on several assumptions. It is possible, it's within the power of the president to end the program overnight. And there is a possibility that we may hear from him. There might be an announcement while we're speaking. But as of yet, there hasn't been. And then, so it's important that if you have DACA, that you talk to an attorney, find out what other options are available, because many of those that have DACA might be eligible for other benefits as well. They just, if they haven't spoken to an attorney, they just don't know what may be available. So if you haven't already, speak to an attorney. If you have, talk to your attorney again. All right, we have a question. What's going to happen with people that already have the program? Are they going to be easier to deport? Okay, so that's a very good question. One of the things that if you go onto the USCIS website, and I have the printout, originally under the Obama administration, there was, when they made the announcement, they said that the information that was given for DACA would not be used to try and deport anyone. But that was only as good as the president that was in the office. So with the change of president, the current president wasn't bound by any of that. But they did keep a lot of the language that's in there. Okay, so what it currently says is information provided in this request is protected from disclosure to ICE and CBP for the purposes of immigration enforcement proceedings. Here's the part. Unless the requester meets the criteria for issuance of a notice to appear or referral to ICE and the criteria set forth in USCIS's notice to appear guidance. Basically what they're saying is we won't share the information with ICE and CBP unless we think that you're deportable, in which case we will. And the problem is that, again, everybody who has, or not everybody, most of the people who have DACA are, at least in some way, eligible to be put into removal proceedings. So there's a statement of we won't use this information, but we could. So it is a bit of an unknown. If they do try and do it, there will be legal challenges because there was some assurance given that this information would not be used except in situations where, at least especially originally, would not be used except in situations where someone had, criminal issues that would make them a high priority. But the current administration's priorities have completely changed. So it's really hard for us to say whether or not, someone will try, the administration will try and go after those people who have DACA. I would like to think that they wouldn't. And again, the information also, the statement includes family, parents and siblings of those with DACA. So hopefully they won't start doing that.
But it's a worry that we have.
But it's certainly a worry. If you don't currently have DACA, if you haven't applied and you're someone who thinks they might be eligible now, it is something that we are cautioning because you have to balance this amazing benefit versus putting yourself on that radar. So I wish I had a better answer there. I wish I could be more comforting. I don't think they will do that, but at the same time, you have people who are trying to force the president's hand here. So it is an unknown.
So let's just not force the president's hand into this one.
Well, let's try and stop that from happening. Let's get the people who are in these states to contact their governors and ask them to back down from this. Let's get people in other states to get their governors to support DACA and be willing to step in and file, be the defendant in this lawsuit if the president's not willing to. Hopefully the president will be willing to stand up for this, but it's just such an unknown at this point. We hear rumors on both sides. I've heard rumors that there are those within his administration that are trying to get him to support a DREAM Act or something like that. And at the same time, we hear, of course, rumors that any minute now he's gonna end the program. I wish we had more reliable information, but right now it's just not out there. Any other questions? We are happy to answer your questions. Thank you for posting that question. All right. We're gonna add links to this so that you can contact your senators, congressmen, organizations that are supporting this. We thank you all for joining us, and of course, if you have questions, if you're watching this the recording, please post your questions. Please have a discussion. Please share with your friends. Let's do what we can to help everybody who's in the DACA program. All right.
Don't put me back in the shadow.
All right.
Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you for joining us.
Take a minute.